Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to Kingdom Hearts Final Mix Part 1. Now, a few videos ago on my channel, I described that despite the fact my original namesake is actually Xehanort1227, go and type youtube.com/Xehanort1227 and see whose channel it brings you to, I haven't really done a whole lot of Kingdom Hearts content on the channel other than a few news updates and a Birth by Sleep Final Mix playthrough. So what I've decided to do is, while we're waiting for Kingdom Hearts 3, we'll be posting content about anything Nomura says or any sort of updates or trailers that may be coming from this point on. I want to actually have Kingdom Hearts content about the older games, specifically targeted at people who maybe played the games when they were younger and haven't kept up with the Final Mix versions. It's just going to go to a quick black screen and then it's going to go right back. Or people who haven't played at all and want to get into the series or want to learn more about the series leading up to Kingdom Hearts 3 before it releases in January of 2019. So we're going to be doing Kingdom Hearts Final Mix on the Proud difficulty. It is the highest difficulty available in Kingdom Hearts 1 as opposed to Kingdom Hearts 2, which we will be playing on Critical when we get to that. And we are going to be avoiding the level 1 option. You can equip an ability very early on that gives you 0 EXP gain for the entirety of the game. And on top of that, it also makes it so that you innately cannot die in a single hit. So that's really important for the level 1 playthrough, but because I'm probably pretty out of practice, we're going to actively stay away from that for the duration of this video. We're going to be focusing mostly on the awakenings, the starting game choices, and how they can affect Sora throughout the rest of the game. Now, especially on Proud mode, it's a very important decision to make, but we have to start the game first. So I am going to press New Game and go into Proud. On the YouTube side of things, I hate to say this, we're going to skip the opening cutscene. Main reason being, YouTube's system doesn't really like when you play certain songs, and Utada Hikaru's songs from Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and probably 3 in the future can cause somewhat of an issue with YouTube's algorithms in terms of its acceptance of using that musical track, even in a Let's Play setting. It's 50-50, but what we're going to do is we're going to edit out the intro from the video. I know, starting off very disappointing, but easiest way to avoid YouTube's wrath raining down on us during this video. So anyway, I'm going to press the Proud button, and then I'm going to edit us back to when we actually get to the awakening, and yeah, we'll start from there. So let's get started. Alright, and with that, unfortunately skipping it on the YouTube side of things, we have brought ourselves to the awakening part of the game. Now, right off the bat, on top of all these cutscenes, which are going to be generally unvoiced with just words popping on the screen, we are going to be given a choice about a portion of our power to increase and a portion of our power to sacrifice. So asking us if we can step forward, believe it or not, use the left analog stick in games before. So now it's going to summon a sword, a staff, and a shield. Now, it's pretty self-explanatory. You choose to empower one of these three things, either strength for your sword, defense with your shield, or magic with the staff. And then you'll choose to sacrifice one of them, giving up some portion of that power as well. So then one of the two you don't select as your strength, you'll then be able to select as your sacrifice. So if we start with the sword, then obviously we'll have higher strength. If we start with the staff, we'll have higher magic. And if we start with the shield, we'll have higher defense. Now, the decision here goes a lot more in depth than the game lets you know that it will, because not only does this determine or help to determine your starting stats, it also determines how many item slots you'll have available, how much MP you'll have throughout the game, and how and in what order you'll actually learn all of your skills. Now, if you're leveling Sora to 100, then it doesn't really matter. You'll have everything by the time you reach 100 anyway. At that point, it's going to be about taking abilities based on where you want to be in about the mid-game, you know, like the 30s and 40s range. However, the more important things are definitely the MP and the item slots, because no matter what, you're not going to be able to enhance those things later on outside of the choice you make right here. So if we start with the sword as our primary strength, the maximum amount of item slots we'll have, if I could speak English, will be 7, and we're going to be learning a lot of offensive skills relatively early on. One of the big ones you'll learn pretty early on is Scan, which lets you see enemies' health. Now, you learn that at level 9 if you pick the sword, but you still learn it pretty quick even if you don't take the sword first. I know that as a new player, when I was young, the sword was the first thing I took. I was like, I want to be swinging my Keyblade around all the time, and I ended up giving up magic, which comes with a whole heaping heck of a lot of problems that we don't need to get into. But the sword, I'd say, especially because we're playing on Proud, probably the thing that we care about the least. So we're definitely not selecting that. Now, we're actually going to go over to the shield next. Now, if you pick the shield as your strong weapon, the max amount of item slots you'll get is 8. 2 more than we will have with the staff, and 1 more than we'll have with the sword. Having more item slots is a lot more valuable than people let it out to be. Having all those extra item slots for ethers, potions, mega ethers, elixirs, things like that can be a massive boon, especially when you're going up against some of the later game bosses on this higher difficulty. More importantly, if we select the shield, we'll learn a lot of defensive abilities very early on, guard being one of the most important things you could probably learn. One of the biggest things you'll learn super early on if you select the shield first is second chance. Now, if you're playing with level 1, this is pretty much not of much value to you, but second chance basically makes it so that when you take damage that would otherwise make you lose all your health, you'll still retain a single health point, which, in case you can tell, is pretty good when you're on proud mode and things do a ton of damage. Now, that's the choice I take most of the time, is the shield first. I really value having second chance. You even get Leaf Bracer, which gives you iframes during curing spells, relatively early on. And of course, having the defense early on is a major boon as well. But we have to take a serious look at the staff, because the staff is regularly regarded to be one of the more popular options if you're someone who wants to be as strong as possible, probably leading into level 100. Now, with the staff, your max amount of item slots is only 6. That's the weakest thing that the staff has, and that can seem pretty bad. However, you'll learn a lot of very useful skills early on. You'll learn MP Haste, MP Rage, you'll learn Leaf Bracer at least right before level 40. But one of the biggest things that this does is it increases your maximum MP. Now, basically, if you start with the staff, we'll start with 3 MP, which is 1 more MP than we otherwise would have for the rest of the game. One thing that's not really said anywhere in the game is that your magic damage is directly proportionate or directly enhanced by the amount of maximum MP that you have. So by taking the staff first, it is an otherwise impossible to recuperate boost to your magic damage throughout the rest of the game. And magic in this game is insanely powerful. In fact, throughout the franchise, it is insanely powerful when maxed out later in the game. Now, of course, without those item slots, and of course, if we take the staff, we then have to either give up defense or offense, or at least physical offense with the sword. So it is a tough choice to make. Like I said, I very regularly will take the shield and then give up the sword. Physical strength isn't that big of a deal when you're planning on leveling to 100 anyway. And getting the shield skills to bypass some of the difficulties, especially if you're a newer player early on, it can be super, super beneficial. If you're someone who's somewhat of a vet, though, taking the staff early on can be the better option to go, because by level 100, you'll be as strong as humanly possible. And still, yes, you generally give up the sword, because strength is easy to make up, and a lot of your most damaging skills will be magic. The biggest problem with taking the staff early on is certain skills that do not unlock till a very, very late point in the game. So that second chance skill that I mentioned with the shield, I think it unlocks, I could probably do a quick search for it, but I'm pretty sure it unlocks at like level, is it 90? It's some like insane level before you actually get second chance if you decide to start with the staff. Let me do a quick check. Alright, we've got a page here. Yeah, I knew it's a really high level. Okay, I found a graph, and yeah, so I just looked up a quick graph, and second chance is indeed level 90. I had a feeling it was up there. I didn't think it was level 90 exactly. Yeah, and that's tough. Not having that extra security is a really tough thing to go without throughout the entire game, especially if you're not planning on going all the way to level 90. So here's my advice. If you're not planning on going all the way to level 100 and you want that extra security, take the shield. If you're somebody who is very confident in your skills, or you want to take the extra challenge of not having that added defense, go with the staff. Like I said, I pick the shield every time. I think for the sake of making things a little more interesting for myself, I think we're going to start with the staff. We're going to take the extra magic damage throughout this, learn those extra skills early on. While I have the graph up, I might as well quickly grab some of the things that we learned. We'll learn Scan by level 15. We'll learn MP Haste, which lets us get MP a little faster at 21. We'll learn Guard at 33, but don't worry, we'll have dodge roll, which is plenty good enough. We'll have leaf bracer, which will give us the iframes during curing at 39, MP rage by 42. Probably one of the more important things, though, is we'll have ripple drive by level 12. Now, taking the sword, we learned that pretty quick as well. But ripple drive is a skill that is based off of your max MP to determine its damage, and it's AoE, so it's a great skill to have early on. And on top of that, with the staff, it's also going to help boost our summoned magic damage as well, which is going to be something we use a lot throughout this playthrough. So we're going to take the staff, and we are going to give up the sword. Now, if you're doing level 1, giving up the shield's probably the best bet, because the level 1 playthrough already has that built-in second chance mechanic. You really don't need second chance early on, so getting the extra MP for the extra magic damage throughout a level 1 playthrough is probably the preferred method to go for that. Assuming you're just doing a casual, quote, casual level 1 playthrough and not in like a speedrun setting. However, I'm going to give up the sword. I don't really care that much about the physical attacking power. It'll matter early on before we get our first magic spell, and that of fire. But after that point, it really shouldn't matter as much. I do not want to give up that defense. If I give up the shield, I believe I will have 1 defense at the beginning of the game, and that is not something I want to deal with. So we're going to give up the power of the sword. So this is one of the 2 sections where you're making this super important choice. And there is one other choice you need to make. I'd say it's important, but it's not as important as this decision, because this determines just so many different things. When I was young, I just took the sword. I just wanted to beat things up. That's all that really mattered to me. And I got rid of the stat. It was not a good idea. I remember as a kid, I was like, dude, this game is impossible. And I was one of those people who's like, oh, magic sucks. And then you go on YouTube at some point, you see someone demolishing an entire room with like a Thundaga or wrecking everything with gravity, and you're like, man, I was dumb as a kid. And you'll see a lot of that throughout this playthrough as well. Now, they are going to make us do some pretty tutorial, basic type things, you know, learn how to break objects, open chests, fight enemies, a bunch of stuff like that. As soon as we land an attack right here, it should just be a bunch of enemies to show us how to use this little attack feature. It's also quickly explaining in the bottom right corner, we have Sora's health, which is the green bar, and we have that 3 MP with the blue bar. Now also keep something in mind with MP, is that even though we have 3 MP, even if we're at max MP, we can actually still generate a bonus reserve that'll show us a little orange gauge, which we'll point out as we go into the next section. And that basically allows you to generate a little bit of MP towards another bar, so that way you're not starting all the way. It gives you just something a little bit more to work towards when you're already at max MP. So as you can see with these guys right here, they just want us to kill one real quick, and then that's it. They're just going to go away because they know better. You also gain EXP here. Now, one thing in regards to gaining experience points at this point in the game, something that you definitely want to know if you're going through a level 1 playthrough, is that if we haven't gotten to the point where the choice has been made yet, but it is possible to hit level 2 before you can even equip the no EXP ability. So be a little careful. You don't want to get more EXP than maybe otherwise is intended. This is just teaching you how to lock on real quick, which we already know how to do. The thing that crept up behind me is also not the thing that we, really needed to avoid. I'm trying to do aerial combos real quick. If you can get pretty close to the ground, aerial combos generally have lower recovery times, and you can chain them together a lot more reliably. Now, as you can see, very much not doing that good, but we're getting a feel for it. It's been a while since I've played Kingdom Hearts 1, so getting all the tricks and tech out of the way is going to be something I have to get used to. It just feels like my camera's lagging behind a little bit, personally. You'll be fine, Sora. I'm not worried. See? Not worried at all. You got a plot armor. Walk up to this door and, oh, look, it's not going to work. It's a field icon. Press triangle when you see one in order to actually use your skills. It's so weird that there's no voice acting throughout all of these, beginning decisions, except maybe a whoa or something like that. I wonder what led to that decision. Just opening a chest, then pushing large crates. Yeah, see, I'm trying to... wonder if it's because I'm not plugged in. Feels like there's almost like a bit of delay. Here, let me try something real quick before we go into this next section. I'm actually trying to play the game directly through my recording software as opposed to doing it actually on the screen. There's so little delay, it normally works, but for doing stuff like this, maybe it's better that I actually do it. Oh yeah, that definitely feels a lot better. Even that half-a-second delay was definitely causing me a lot of issues, so not going to do that going forward. Alright, so I believe once we go through this door, we'll be coming to our second major decision. Like I said, not as big as the first decision we just made with the staff, sword, and shield. However, this was a decision I didn't know had any impact on gameplay when I played as a young kid. So it's pretty exciting for me to come back to this, knowing how this mechanic works now. So right now we're in, sort of dream world, and we have Waka, Tidus, and Selphie from the Final Fantasy franchise, and they're each going to ask us 3 questions. I'll walk right up to her, and I'll show you. So she asked me, what's most important to you? So when I was young, I just answered these as honestly as I could, and there's going to be a result screen at the end that tells you sort of a base idea of, the sun sets at... I don't remember the exact message. The sun rises at dawn, or the sun sets at dusk, or something like that. And basically what happens here is you're determining your EXP curve throughout the game. Like I said, this isn't made abundantly clear here, so this is something that's pretty important to know. So the first answer is always going to be something that, I'm going to call, I guess, it's like sunrise, dusk, or dawn. Whatever. Well, the first option is dawn, the middle option is neutral, and the bottom option is dusk. I don't know if those are the exact terminology for them. But this is true of all 3 of the NPCs. And if you get the dawn option at the end, or sunrise, or whatever it is, it means that you'll gain EXP faster for the first 40 or 50 levels, and then after that point, you'll gain levels at a slower pace. Or specifically, you gain levels faster at the earlier levels, and you gain levels slower at the later levels. If you take the neutral option, which is always the middle option for all 3 of the NPCs, then your leveling curve will... obviously, you'll need more EXP to level as you go throughout the game, but it will be a pretty set pattern. It'll be about an average leveling speed across all 100 levels. If you take the third option for dusk, then you'll gain levels slower in the earlier portions of the game and gain them much faster at the later levels. This is actually, if you want to get to level 100, your best option. For me, I'm always 50-50 about this. I never want to be neutral. I always like either the benefit of the early game leveling or the benefit of the late game leveling. But I'm someone who can beat all the bosses in this game prior to level 50. So for me, I generally like taking the early levels a lot more than the later levels, because by the time you get to the later levels, yeah, it's a bit of a grind if you don't take the dusk options. But I don't know, I guess it just doesn't bother me as much. I always prefer having the faster leveling in the early game versus having the much faster leveling in the later game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the first option on all 3 of them. So you can mix and match what decision it is you want to make. Ultimately, what matters at the end is you're going to get a message that tells you which result you actually landed on. And if you don't like that result, go back and change your answers. It's pretty fun the first time through, just answering honestly and seeing what you get. But as ignorant as it is, I feel I'm pretty silly for going with the dawn options instead of the dusk options. Just because I know that later game leveling is going to take a pretty long time, and I'll probably be doing it off video or off camera anyway. So yeah, your adventure begins at dawn. There you go. So it is dawn, not sunrise. Or, well, as long as the sun is shining. So sounds good. I'm going to level faster throughout the early parts of the game, and at the later parts, it's going to go slower, which you guys won't have to worry about because I'm not going to show a video of me grinding outside of maybe a video to show where to grind for fast levels. That's about the only thing. So look forward to that. And now at this point, we've gotten all the basic tutorial stuff out of the way. The options button to open your menu. You can't open the menu in combat, though, so at this point, if you were planning on doing the level 1 playthrough, you really would have wanted to have picked those dusk options, because it is possible to gain a level in this fight right here if you go with the dawn options. So I might hit level 2, and if I was doing a level 1 playthrough, that would be bad, because then I'd have to start over. So with these guys, they just jump around. Take some time here to get used to the different combos that you can do. As you can see, I'm still working on getting that aerial combo down. Something that used to be second nature to me, but because some of them are missing health, it's probably going to be a little weird to me. They're also all grouped up, so the ground combo would probably be better here. Just because I have that little wide sweep at the end right there. And as you can see, they do get kind of tedious. And now, if I had given up the shield, these guys would be doing a lot more damage. As you can see, picking the Dawn option, I hit level 2 there and got a strength up. So yeah, level 1 run would have been screwed. So if you wanted to level 1, go with the Dusk options. Now we got a save point over here. That's pretty self-explanatory if you've ever played any Square Enix RPG before. Before I can even save, though, they're going to show me the path to the first boss of the game. So this first boss of the game is going to be a giant Heartless. He goes by the name of Darkseid. And believe it or not, this first fight, actually not mandatory to win. If you want to, you can just throw the fight, or if you just don't care whether you win or lose, then great. As you can see, I already have a level 100 playthrough with everything completed. That's 32 hours in, so I'm going to save this towards the bottom so I don't overwrite the other. And I'm going to make a couple of them. I forgot I had those save files. Why is one of them like 34? Ah, who cares? One of them's probably... Oh, you know what? One of them's before one of the secret bosses, and the other one's just, I don't know, 2 hours later for some reason. Okay, so one thing that we want to go and double check. Now, another thing that I guess I kind of forgot to mention earlier when it came to the Awakening is ability points. So one thing is that Sora has ability points, and this is another determining factor that I actually should have covered. Almost makes me want to do a full re-recording of the video. But ability points is another thing that was determined by our Sword, Staff, Shield choices earlier. Not the most important decision. The MP and item slots were definitely more important. But having a certain number of ability points definitely makes the early game a little bit different. When you have more ability points available, you kind of have more options for Sora overall. Now, by starting with the staff, we pretty much guarantee we'll have 3 ability points as well. If we had started with the sword, we'd also have 3 ability points, unless we gave up the staff. Giving up the staff pretty much immediately removes ability points. So you either have 1 or you have 3. As long as the staff is not the thing that is sacrificed, you will have 3. And I highly recommend not sacrificing the staff. I mean, I'm sure there's strategies, and I'm sure there's like categories for speedruns where maybe going through with giving up the staff is okay. For a casual playthrough, though, I would highly advise against it. So EXP 0 we're not turning on. I just wanted to show you that screen right there. And we are going to move on. I think if you're playing on beginner, they give you a few things here. I don't remember if that's Kingdom Hearts 1 or 2, where they give you like a bunch of stuff for starting on the beginner difficulty. I don't remember. Either way, it doesn't really matter all too much. So we're actually going to try to beat this boss. It shouldn't be that bad. Giving up this is probably the only point in the game where giving up the sword feels kind of meh. Because if you have the sword, this fight just goes faster. If you don't have the sword, then it goes slower, because I don't have any magic options yet. And that's going to be true until we get magic options in the first place. But we will not regret it once we do finally get to the magic option. And this guy, he's a big guy, but don't let him intimidate you. Trust me, he's a gentle giant, all things considered. So if you can manage to land hits on his head, you actually get, I believe you get tech points from doing that. Most of the time what you'll end up doing is you'll just hit his hand. Like here, let's see, if you want to really swag on him, you'll do this. And then you'll just do that. Yeah, see, by doing a finisher on his head, I get tech points. Tech points are basically bonus EXP that you can get from handling encounters in specific ways. And with him, it's specifically landing a finisher on his head. So if you want to farm some extra EXP on the first boss here, that is a means of doing it, it's not important. Especially considering you will have some grinding options a little bit later on. Now, what he's doing here is he's firing giant balls. Now, this is another way to earn tech points, is to actually hit these balls as they're flying at you and deflect them back at him. As you can see, they don't even do a lot of damage even if you do get hit by them. And I got 1 bonus tech point there, which is whatever, you know. Now he just stands up nice and tall. Now, if he's going to do the punch to the ground again, I might as well go for more bonus tech points. Or I could just do that, I suppose. Excuse me, sir. I know you're trying to flex on me. It's not even like a punch, really. It's like... I mean, it is a punch. There you go. Like, see, I'm already level 3 by the end of the first boss fight. And then he gives 18 EXP himself, so... Super simple, level 3 already because of that Dawn option. And early game's going to be a lot easier on the Proud difficulty because of that. Alright, so we're going to have a series of cutscenes coming up. One thing with this playthrough, the parts aren't going to be super long. However, we do want to make sure that in terms of any voice-acted cutscenes, specifically voice-acted cutscenes, I'm going to shut my trap. So we have a couple of them coming up before we wrap up the video, so we're going to let those play out, and I'll see you guys after those are all done. So just waiting for Sora to get absorbed away, and then muting the microphone and... Any day now, Sora. Just let the darkness consume you. Alright, with that, I'm gonna shut my trap.
Whoa! Give me a break, Kyrie.
Sorry, you lazy bum. I knew that I'd find you snoozing down here.
No, this huge black thing swallowed me up. I couldn't breathe, I couldn't... Ow!
Are you still dreaming?
It wasn't a dream. Or was it? I don't know. What was that place? So bizarre.
Yeah, sure.
Say, Kyrie, what was your hometown like? You know, where you grew up?
I've told you before. I don't remember.
Nothing at all?
Nothing.
You ever want to go back?
Well, I'm happy here.
Really?
But you know, I wouldn't mind going to see it.
I'd like to see it too. Along with any other worlds out there. I want to see them all.
So what are we waiting for?
Hey! Aren't you guys forgetting about me? So, I guess I'm the only one working on the raft. And you're just as lazy as he is.
So you noticed. Okay, we'll finish it together. I'll race you.
Huh?
What? Are you kidding?
Ready? Go!
And with that, we find ourselves on Destiny Island, the first world of the game. Now, because I'm going to be wrapping up this video right here, we should go to the save point, which is neatly tucked away here in the Seaside Shack, and make sure to get our save on. So the next video, we're going to be exploring Destiny Island. Normally, in a playthrough, I would honestly just speed through everything there is. On a first-time playthrough, I spent maybe 2 hours here, just, you know, doing certain optional fights, optional mini-games, and stuff like that. And there are okay reasons for you to do those things, but as someone who's played it quite a few times, I really don't need to. But I will do it for the sake of another video, just to give you guys an idea of what you can actually get on the island itself. Anyway, that's going to be a wrap for our first Kingdom Hearts Final Mix video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the explanations of the Awakening system, and you're looking forward to some neat tips and tricks for some of the later worlds. Those of you taking it on for the first time, best of luck if you're taking it on the Proud difficulty. Anyway, I will see all of you in the next video, so thank you for joining, and until next time, take care.